Emilia Turner had been staring at the same PowerPoint slide for 20 minutes. The cursor blinked at her, like it was mocking her lack of inspiration. Outside her cubicle, the office hummed with its usual Friday afternoon energy, keyboards clacking, someone's podcast playing too loud through cheap earbuds, the coffee maker in the break room gurgling like it was dying. She rubbed her eyes. The edges of her silk press were already starting to revert in the humidity that somehow existed even on the 32nd floor of a midtown high-rise. New York in August was relentless. Her phone buzzed. Jade. Lunch at Pret? I'm starving. And if I have to sit through one more meeting about synergy, I'm gonna lose it. Emilia smiled. Jade Washington had been her desk neighbor for 2 years now, ever since Emilia started at Madden Technologies. They'd bonded over burnt coffee from the third-floor kitchen and a shared confusion about why their boss insisted on 7 a.m. Monday meetings. Emilia, bet, give me 5. She saved the presentation, not that there was much to save, and grabbed her wallet from the drawer. The elevator took forever, as always. When the doors finally opened on the lobby level, the blast of heat and car exhaust hit her like a wall. Pret A Manger was 2 blocks down on 6th Avenue, packed with the lunch rush. Emilia spotted Jade near the back, already at a table with 2 other women from their floor, Michelle from HR and Serena from sales. Girl, finally. Jade pushed a chair out with her foot. We were about to start without you. Traffic on the elevator. Emilia dropped into the seat, already pulling her sandwich from the bag. Turkey and avocado, same thing she got every Friday. What did I miss? Oh, you know. Michelle leaned in, lowering her voice even though the place was loud enough that nobody could hear them anyway. Just discussing how Mr. Madden somehow looks more exhausted every week, and yet still manages to run this entire company like it's nothing. Serena snorted. That man doesn't sleep, I'm convinced. He doesn't. Jade took a bite of her salad, talking around it. I saw him leaving the office at like 11 p.m. last Tuesday. I was only there late because I forgot my phone, and he was still in a full suit, looking like he had 3 more meetings to get to. Emilia unwrapped her sandwich slowly. She'd seen Tobias Madden plenty of times, in the elevator, in passing during all-hands meetings, once at a Starbucks on 5th, where he'd been on his phone the entire time he waited for his order. The man was always moving, always thinking, always 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. He was also, if she was being honest, kind of intimidating. I bet he doesn't even know what a vacation is, Michelle said, shaking her head. Like, imagine being that rich and still working yourself into the ground. Right, Serena laughed. What's the point of having all that money if you never enjoy it? Jade grinned, eyes sparkling with mischief. I bet Mr. Madden doesn't even know what romance is. Man probably schedules his emotions. The table erupted in laughter. Emilia took a sip of her iced tea, the condensation from the cup already making her fingers cold and wet. She shouldn't say it. She really shouldn't. But she did. He's probably too busy for love, she said, trying to keep her tone light. I mean, honestly, if someone wanted to date him, they'd have to book an appointment with his assistant first. More laughter. Jade nearly choked on her salad. Oh my God, Emilia. I'm just saying. Emilia shrugged, smiling despite herself. The man runs a billion-dollar company. I doubt he has time to even think about relationships, let alone actually be in one. That's sad, though, Michelle said, her expression softening. Everyone deserves love, even workaholics. Maybe he doesn't want it, as Serena offered. Some people are just like that, married to their work. Emilia was about to respond when she felt it, that shift in the air that happens when someone important walks into a room. The kind of presence that doesn't announce itself, but somehow makes itself known anyway. She looked up. Tobias Madden was standing 3 feet away, a paper bag from Pret in one hand and his phone in the other. He wasn't looking at them, not directly, but his jaw was tight, and there was something in the set of his shoulders that made Emilia's stomach drop. He'd heard. Oh God, he'd heard. The table went silent. Michelle's eyes went wide. Jade looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. Tobias slipped his phone into his pocket. Then slowly he turned his head and looked directly at Emilia. His eyes were grey. She'd never noticed that before. Grey like storm clouds, sharp and assessing, and completely unreadable. Ms. Turner, he said. His voice was calm. too calm. Emilia's mouth went dry. Mr. Madden. He took a step closer. The noise of the restaurant seemed to fade into the background, like someone had turned the volume down on the rest of the world. "You're right," he said quietly. "I am busy." She couldn't breathe. "But for you." He tilted his head slightly, and something flickered in his expression, something she couldn't quite name. "I'd make time." And then he walked away. Just like that. No explanation, no smile, nothing. Emilia sat frozen in her chair, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Around her, the restaurant slowly came back into focus. The chatter, the clatter of trays, the hiss of the espresso machine behind the counter. Jade was staring at her with her mouth open. Michelle looked like she'd just witnessed a car accident. Serena blinked. "Did that just—" "Yeah," Emilia whispered. Her sandwich sat untouched on the table. Her iced tea had started to sweat through the napkin underneath it. Outside, a taxi honked. Someone dropped a tray. Emilia's phone buzzed in her pocket, but she didn't move. She just sat there, staring at the door Tobias Madden had walked through, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Her hands were shaking. Emilia didn't go back to the office right away. She told Jade she needed to walk, clear her head. The heat was brutal, but she needed it. Needed the noise of Midtown, the smell of hot dogs from the cart on the corner, the way the sidewalk radiated warmth through the soles of her flats. Anything to stop replaying that moment. But for you? I'd make time. She walked past Bryant Park, where tourists were sprawled on the lawn, and someone was playing guitar badly near the fountain. Her phone kept buzzing in her purse. Jade, probably, or Michelle. Maybe even Serena, who loved drama more than anyone Emilia had ever met. She didn't look. By the time she made it back to the Madden Technologies building on 53rd, it was almost 2. The lobby was quieter now, the lunch rush over. The security guard, Marcus, the one who always asked about her mama, nodded as she swiped her badge. "You good, Emilia?" "Yeah." She forced a smile. "Just needed some air." The elevator ride to the 32nd floor felt longer than usual. When the doors opened, she kept her head down, walking fast toward her cubicle like she could outrun the inevitable. But of course Jade was waiting. Girl. Jade spun her chair around the second Emilia sat down. "Where have you been? I texted you like 6 times. "I know." Emilia dropped her purse into the drawer, not making eye contact. "I just needed to think." "Think?" Jade lowered her voice, even though most people were still at lunch or in meetings. "Emilia, the man basically just asked you out, in front of everybody." "He didn't ask me out." "He said he'd make time for you. That's the same thing." "No, it's not." Emilia finally looked up. "He was being sarcastic, or, I don't know, proving a point. He heard me talking about him and he wanted to mess with me." Jade raised an eyebrow. "You really believe that? Honestly?" Emilia didn't know what she believed. She'd worked at Madden Technologies for 2 years. In that entire time, she'd maybe spoken to Tobias Madden directly twice. Once when he held the elevator for her and said, "Good morning," and once during an all-hands when he'd asked if anyone had questions, and she'd been too nervous to raise her hand. The man was untouchable, unreachable. He ran a company worth billions, had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times, and according to office gossip, hadn't dated anyone publicly in over 5 years. And now he was making time for her. No, that didn't make sense. "He was messing with me," Emilia said again, more to convince herself than Jade. That's all. Jade didn't look convinced, but she let it go. "Okay. Well, if you say so." The rest of the afternoon dragged. Emilia tried to focus on the presentation she'd been avoiding all morning, but the words kept blurring together. She kept seeing those grey eyes, that slight tilt of his head, the way his voice had dropped when he said her name. Ms. Turner. She'd never heard him say it before, not like that. At 4:30, her computer pinged with a calendar notification. Meeting Marketing Strategy Review, 5. 4 p.m. Conference Room B. Emilia's stomach dropped. She'd completely forgotten. The quarterly review with the senior leadership team, which meant Tobias would be there. Of course he would. She considered faking sick, leaving early. Telling her manager she had a dentist appointment or food poisoning or literally anything that would get her out of sitting in a room with the man who'd just upended her entire sense of reality. But that would be obvious. And weak. And Emilia Turner was not weak. So at 4:55, she grabbed her laptop and walked to conference room B like she was heading to her own execution. The room was already half full when she arrived. Her manager, Wesley, was setting up his slides at the front. A few other team leads were scattered around the table, chatting quietly. And there at the far end sat Tobias Madden. He was reading something on his phone, his expression neutral. He didn't look up when she walked in. Emilia chose a seat near the middle, far enough away to not seem intentional, close enough to not seem like she was avoiding him. She opened her laptop, pulled up her notes, tried to look busy. The meeting started at 5 on the dot. Wesley led most of it, talking through campaign performance, engagement metrics, ROI breakdowns. Emilia only half listened. She was too aware of Tobias at the other end of the table, too conscious of every time he shifted in his seat, or glanced at his phone or leaned back in his chair. He still hadn't looked at her. Maybe Jade was wrong. Maybe it had been sarcasm. Maybe he'd already forgotten the whole thing, and Emilia was the only one still stuck on it, like some kind of idiot. Which brings us to the fall campaign strategy, Wesley was saying. Emilia's been leading the creative direction on this, so I'll let her walk us through it. Emilia blinked. Oh, right, yeah. She stood, legs unsteady, and moved to the front of the room, pulled up her slides, took a breath, and that's when Tobias looked at her. Not a glance, not a passing look. He turned his full attention to her, leaning forward slightly, his hands folded on the table in front of him. Emilia's throat went dry. So, she cleared her throat, clicked to the first slide. The concept for Q4 is centered around connection. We're targeting urban professionals, ages 25 to 40, who value innovation but also authenticity. She kept talking, kept clicking through slides, but she could feel his eyes on her the entire time, steady and unblinking, like he was cataloging every word. It should have made her nervous, should have thrown her off. Instead, it made her sharper. She explained the campaign pillars, the messaging framework, the media mix. She answered questions from the CFO and the VP of sales. She didn't stumble once. When she finished, Wesley nodded. Great work, Emilia. This is solid. She sat back down, adrenaline still humming through her veins. And then Tobias spoke. I agree. His voice cut through the room, quiet but absolute. It's smart. Focused. I like it. Emilia's heart stuttered. There's just one thing, he continued, his gaze still locked on hers. The messaging around authenticity, I think we can push it further. Make it more personal. People don't just want products. They want to feel seen. He paused. Ms. Turner, do you have time to stay after? I'd like to discuss some ideas. The room went silent. Wesley looked confused. The CFO looked vaguely uncomfortable. Everyone else suddenly found their laptops very interesting. Emilia's pulse was so loud in her ears she almost didn't hear herself say, Sure, I have time. Tobias nodded once. Good. The meeting wrapped up 10 minutes later. People filed out quickly, muttering about emails and deadlines and weekend plans. Wesley gave Emilia a look, somewhere between concern and curiosity, but didn't say anything. And then it was just her and Tobias. He stood, walking slowly to the window that overlooked 53rd Street. The late afternoon sun cut through the glass, turning everything gold. You don't have to stay if you don't want to, he said, his back still to her. I know I put you on the spot. Emilia stood too, her laptop tucked against her chest like a shield. You're my boss. If you want to discuss the campaign, I'm here. He turned then, and the light caught the side of his face, the sharp line of his jaw, the faint shadows under his eyes that suggested he really didn't sleep as much as he should. That's not why I asked you to stay. Her breath caught. Tobias took a step closer. Not too close, just close enough that she could see the flecks of blue in his grey eyes, the faint scar above his left eyebrow. I wasn't messing with you, he said quietly. At lunch. I meant what I said. Emilia's grip tightened on her laptop. Mr. Madden. Tobias. His voice was softer now, almost careful. When it's just us, you can call me Tobias. She didn't know what to say to that. He ran a hand through his hair, the first crack in his usual composure she'd ever seen. I know this is unconventional, and I know I should probably keep my distance. You work for me. There are rules, protocols, a dozen reasons why this is a bad idea. Then why? Because I can't stop thinking about you. The words hung in the air between them. Emilia's laptop slipped slightly in her grip. She adjusted it, buying herself a second to think, to breathe. You don't even know me, she said finally. I know you take your coffee black with 1 sugar. I know you're always the first one in on Mondays and the last one out on Thursdays. I know you rework your presentations 3 times because you hate settling for good enough. He paused. And I know that when you smile, really smile, not the polite one you use in meetings, you have a dimple on your left side. Emilia stared at him. I notice you, Emilia, he said. I've been noticing you for a while. She should leave, should walk out of this room and pretend this conversation never happened. But she didn't move. What are you asking me? She said instead. Tobias held her gaze. I'm asking if I can take you to dinner. That's inappropriate, I know. He almost smiled. Almost. But I'm asking anyway. Emilia's phone buzzed in her pocket. Probably Jade again, wondering where she was. Outside, the traffic on 53rd was a steady hum. The AC kicked on. She looked at Tobias Madden, billionaire, genius, her boss, standing in front of her like he was bracing for rejection. And then she heard herself say, okay. His expression shifted. Relief, maybe. Or surprise. Okay? 1 dinner, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. That's it. 1 dinner, he repeated. She nodded. He smiled then. A real one. Small, but real. I'll text you, he said. Emilia turned to leave, her heart pounding, her thoughts a tangled mess of what the hell did I just agree to, and why does he know about my dimple? She was halfway to the door when she realized something. You don't have my number. Tobias glanced up from his phone. I'll get it from HR, he said. The door clicked shut behind her. Emilia didn't tell Jade. She knew she should. Jade was her best friend, her work wife, the person who knew everything about her life down to the brand of edge control she used. But every time she opened her mouth to say it, Tobias Madden asked me to dinner and I said yes. The words got stuck somewhere between her brain and her throat, because saying it out loud would make it real. And Emilia wasn't sure she was ready for real. Saturday morning she woke up to a text from a number she didn't recognize. Unknown. It's Tobias. Are you free tonight? She stared at her phone for a full minute, lying in bed with her bonnet still on, and her mouth tasting like she'd forgotten to brush her teeth before passing out. The ceiling fan rattled overhead. Outside, somebody was blasting reggaeton from their car. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Emilia, how'd you get my number? Tobias. HR. Emilia, that's definitely against company policy. Tobias. Probably. Are you going to report me? She almost smiled. Emilia. Depends. Where are we going? Tobias. Somewhere quiet. I'll pick you up at 7. Emilia. I didn't give you my address. Tobias. HR. Emilia. You're terrible. Tobias. I know. See you at 7. Emilia dropped the phone on her chest and stared at the ceiling. The fan kept rattling. The reggaeton kept playing. And somewhere in her stomach, something that felt a lot like panic started to unfurl. She had 6 hours. By 6:45 her bedroom looked like a bomb had gone off. Dresses draped over the chair, shoes scattered across the floor, her flat iron sitting on the dresser next to 3 different lip glosses she'd tried and wiped off. She'd settled on a black wrap dress. Simple. Not trying too hard. And the heels that made her legs look good but didn't kill her feet after 20 minutes. Her hair was down, flat ironed smooth, edges laid, subtle makeup, gold hoops. She looked at herself in the mirror and tried to breathe. It's just dinner. 1 dinner. That's it. Her phone buzzed. Tobias. I'm downstairs. Emilia grabbed her purse, checked her lipstick one more time, and headed out. Her apartment was a fourth-floor walk-up in Washington Heights, the kind of building where the radiator clanged all winter and the front door stuck when it rained. She took the stairs quickly, her heels clicking against the worn tile. When she pushed through the lobby door, she stopped. Tobias was leaning against a black car, something sleek and expensive that she couldn't name. Wearing dark jeans and a button-down with the sleeves rolled up. No tie, no suit jacket, just him. He looked up when he heard the door, and something in his expression softened. "Hi," he said. "Hi." For a second, neither of them moved. A taxi honked. Someone shouted in Spanish from a window above them. The smell of fried plantains drifted from the Dominican restaurant on the corner. Then Tobias opened the passenger door. "You look beautiful," he said quietly. Emilia's stomach flipped. "Thanks." She slid into the car and he closed the door behind her. The interior smelled like leather and something faintly woodsy, his cologne maybe. The seat was more comfortable than her couch. Tobias got in the driver's side, and for the first time Emilia noticed the faint stubble on his jaw, the way his hair was slightly less perfect than it usually was at the office. He looked human. "Where are we going?" she asked as he pulled into traffic. "You'll see." "That's not creepy at all." He smiled. "I promise it's not a murder scenario." That's exactly what someone in a murder scenario would say. "Fair point." He glanced at her. "If it helps, I told my assistant where we'd be, so if I try anything, she'll find me." "Your assistant knows about this?" "No." He turned onto the FDR Drive, the Hudson stretching out beside them. "But she's efficient. She'll figure it out." They drove in silence for a while. Not the awkward kind, just quiet, with the hum of the engine and the distant sounds of the city filtering through the windows. Emilia watched the lights reflect off the water. "Can I ask you something?" Tobias said finally. "Sure." "Why did you say yes?" She looked at him. His eyes were on the road, but his jaw was tight, like the answer mattered more than he wanted to admit. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Maybe because you asked." "That's it?" "No." She twisted the strap of her purse between her fingers. "Because you noticed. The coffee, the presentations, the dimple." She paused. "Nobody notices me like that." Tobias's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Then they're idiots." Emilia felt something warm settle in her chest. They ended up at a small Italian place in the West Village, the kind with brick walls and candles on every table, and a menu that wasn't in English. The host greeted Tobias by name and led them to a corner booth in the back away from the windows. "You come here a lot?" Emilia asked as she slid into the seat. "Sometimes, when I need to think." He sat across from her, and in the candlelight his eyes looked more blue than grey. "It's quiet. Nobody bothers me." "Sounds lonely." "It is." He didn't look away. "That's why I asked you to come." The waiter appeared with water and bread, took their drink orders and disappeared again. Emilia broke off a piece of bread more for something to do with her hands than because she was hungry. "So, Tobias Madden, billionaire genius. What's it like being you?" "Exhausting," he said without hesitation. She laughed. "That's honest." "You asked." He leaned back, and for the first time all night, he looked relaxed. "What about you? What's it like being Emilia Turner?" "Significantly less exhausting, and significantly less wealthy." But what?" "There's always a but." She considered that. "But sometimes lonely too." He nodded like he understood exactly what she meant. They talked through dinner, about work, about New York, about the ridiculous things people said in meetings. He told her about growing up in Boston, about the pressure of building a company from nothing. She told him about her mama in Atlanta, about how she'd moved to New York with 2 suitcases and a dream she wasn't even sure she believed in. The food was good, the wine was better, and somewhere between the second glass and dessert, Emilia realized she was enjoying herself, really enjoying herself. When they left, the city was alive with Saturday night energy. People spilling out of bars, taxis honking, the smell of street meat and expensive perfume mixing in the air. Tobias walked her to his car but didn't open the door right away. "I had a good time," he said. "Me too." "Can I see you again?" Emilia looked up at him, at the way the streetlight caught his face, at the hope in his eyes that he was trying to hide. "Yeah," she said, "you can." He smiled, really smiled. And when he finally opened the car door, his hand brushed hers for just a second. It was enough. The drive back to Washington Heights was quieter than before. When he pulled up to her building, Emilia hesitated before getting out. "Thanks for tonight," she said. "Thank you for saying yes." She opened the door, stepped onto the sidewalk, then turned back. "Tobias?" "Yeah?" "For the record, I'm glad you noticed." His expression shifted into something softer. "Me too." Emilia walked into her building without looking back. Inside, she leaned against the door and closed her eyes. Her phone buzzed. "Tobias, text me when you're inside, so I know you made it." "Emilia, I'm inside." "Tobias, good. Sleep well, Emilia." She didn't respond. Just stood there in the dim hallway, listening to her heartbeat slow. Outside, she heard his car pull away. Monday morning hit different. Emilia stared at her computer screen, her mind replaying Saturday night on loop. The way Tobias had looked at her, the way his hand had brushed hers, the way he'd texted to make sure she got home safe. Her phone lit up. "Jade, why do you look like you've seen a ghost, Emilia?" "I'm fine, Jade." "Liar." At 10, her calendar pinged. 1:1 with Tobias Madden. 2:00 p.m. his office. Her stomach dropped. No agenda, no context. This was it. He was going to end things before they even started. At 1:55, Emilia stood outside Tobias's office on the 40th floor. His assistant gestured toward the door. "He's expecting you." Emilia knocked once, then entered. Tobias was on the phone by the window. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. "Figure it out and call me back." He hung up without saying goodbye. "Sorry. Close the door." She did. "I've been thinking about Saturday," he said. "About us." "Here it comes," Emilia thought. "I know this is complicated. You work for me. There are policies, 100 reasons to walk away." He moved closer. "But I don't want to." "What?" "I don't want to pretend. I don't want to go back to how things were." He stopped a few feet away. "Can we try, carefully, see where this goes?" Emilia's mind raced with all the reasons to say no. But underneath the logic was something louder. "What does that look like?" she asked. "I don't know. I've never done this." He almost smiled. "But I want to figure it out. With you." "Okay," she heard herself say. Relief washed over his face. "Yeah?" "Yeah. But no one at work can know. Not yet." "Agreed. And if it gets messy, we walk away clean." "Deal." He extended his hand. She shook it. His hand was warm, and he held on a second longer than necessary. "One more thing," he said. "Dinner tonight. My place. 7:30. "That's fast." "I'm a fast-moving person." His thumb brushed her wrist. "I'll send you the address." "Okay." She needed to leave before she did something stupid. "I should get back." "Emilia." She turned. "Thank you for taking a chance on me." She just nodded and left. Jade was waiting at her desk. What was that about? "Campaign stuff." "For 30 minutes?" "He's thorough." Jade didn't look convinced but let it go. The rest of the day crawled. At 6:30, Emilia went home to change. Tobias's address was in Tribeca, one of those converted warehouses with a doorman who looked like he'd stepped out of GQ. When the elevator opened on the 12th floor, Tobias was waiting in his doorway, barefoot, grey Henley, dark jeans. "Hi," he said. "Hi." He stepped aside to let her in. The apartment was stunning. Exposed brick, open layout, a kitchen that looked like something out of a cooking show. But what caught her attention was the view. The Hudson River stretched out beyond the windows, the city lights reflecting off the water. "This is—" Emilia trailed off. "Too much?" "No. Just, wow. I'll give you the tour later. Come on." He led her into the kitchen, where something on the stove smelled incredible. "What are you making?" she asked. "Pasta. Nothing fancy." He handed her a glass of wine. "Hope that's okay." "It's perfect." They talked while he cooked. Easy conversation, the kind that felt like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. He told her about the worst business meeting he'd ever sat through. She told him about the time she accidentally sent a meme to her entire department instead of just Jade. When they finally sat down to eat, the pasta was better than anything she'd had at a restaurant. "This is really good," she said. "Don't sound so surprised. I just didn't peg you for the cooking type. There's a lot you don't know about me yet." He took a sip of wine, his eyes steady on hers. "But I want you to." Emilia set her fork down. "Tobias, what are we doing?" "Having dinner." "You know what I mean." He was quiet for a moment. "I'm trying not to overthink it. For once in my life, I just want to see what happens." "That's not very you." "No," he agreed. "It's not." They finished eating, moved to the couch. The city stretched out below them, alive and endless. Tobias sat close enough that she could feel the warmth of him, but he didn't touch her. Not yet. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Why me?" He turned to look at her. "Because you're the first person in years who makes me want to stop working. Because you're brilliant and funny, and you don't let me get away with anything. Because when you walked into that conference room last week, I forgot what I was going to say." He paused. "Because you're you, Emilia." Her throat tightened. "That's a pretty good answer," she said quietly. "I'm a pretty smart guy." She laughed, and the tension broke. Tobias reached over, his fingers brushing her cheek. "Can I kiss you?" Emilia's breath caught. "Yeah." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind. She didn't. His lips were soft against hers, careful at first, then deeper. She felt the world tilt, felt her hands move to his chest, felt him pull her closer. When they finally broke apart, her heart was racing. "Wow," she breathed. "Yeah," he said. "Wow." They sat there in the quiet, foreheads touching, the city glittering beyond the windows. Emilia's phone buzzed in her purse. She ignored it. 3 weeks. That's how long Emilia and Tobias had been doing this. The secret dinners, the late-night texts, the stolen moments in his office when everyone else had gone home. 3 weeks of pretending at work that they were nothing more than boss and employee, while her entire world was quietly rearranging itself around him. It was exhausting, and thrilling, and terrifying. Emilia sat in a strategy meeting on a Wednesday afternoon, half listening to someone drone on about Q4 projections. Across the table, Tobias was taking notes, his expression neutral, professional. But when his eyes flicked to hers for just a second, something shifted. A silent conversation nobody else could see. Her phone buzzed under the table. "Tobias." "You look bored." She fought back a smile. "Emilia, you look like you're pretending to care about spreadsheets." Tobias. "I am." "It's painful." Emilia. "Poor billionaire." Tobias. "Come over tonight." Emilia. "I was just there Monday." Tobias. "And?" She bit her lip, glancing up. He was still looking at his laptop, but the corner of his mouth had curved slightly. Emilia. "Fine. But you're cooking." Tobias. "Deal." The meeting dragged on for another 20 minutes. When it finally ended, everyone filed out except Emilia, who pretended to gather her things slowly. Tobias lingered near the door. "Ms. Turner," he said, his voice formal. "Do you have a minute?" "Sure." The room emptied. The door clicked shut. Tobias crossed the space between them in 3 strides and kissed her. Not gentle, urgent, like he'd been holding back for hours. When he pulled away, Emilia's heart was racing. "We can't keep doing that here," she said, even though she didn't mean it. "I know." He rested his forehead against hers. "But it's hard when you're right there, and I can't touch you. You're making this difficult." "Good." He smiled against her mouth, then stepped back. 7? 7. That night, Emilia showed up at his apartment with Thai food and a bottle of wine she'd grabbed from the bodega on the corner. Tobias opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, the most casual she'd ever seen him. "You didn't cook," she said. "I got lazy." He took the bags from her. "Besides, I like seeing you walk through that door more than I like cooking." They ate on the couch with the TV on low, some documentary about space that neither of them was really watching. Emilia curled into his side, her head on his shoulder, and for the first time all week, she felt herself relax. Can I ask you something? Tobias said after a while. Sure. Do you ever think about what happens when people find out? Emilia went still. At work? Yeah. She'd thought about it. Of course she had. Late at night, when she couldn't sleep, she'd run through every possible scenario. The gossip, the judgment, the way people would look at her differently. The way they'd assume she was only good at her job because she was sleeping with the boss. All the time, she admitted. Does it scare you? Yes. She sat up, turning to face him. Does it scare you? Honestly? No. I don't care what they think. His hand found hers. But I care what you think, and I care if it makes things harder for you. It will, she said quietly. People will talk. They'll say I slept my way into every opportunity, that I'm not really good at what I do. You know that's not true. I know, but that won't stop them. Tobias was quiet for a moment. So, what do we do? I don't know. She laced her fingers through his. Maybe we just keep doing this, for now, until we figure it out. Okay. Okay? Yeah. He pulled her back against him. I'm not going anywhere, Emilia. Whatever happens, we'll deal with it. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. The following Monday, reality came knocking. Emilia was in the break room, making her third coffee of the day when Michelle from HR walked in. Hey girl, Michelle grabbed a mug from the cabinet. You good? Yeah, why? You've just seemed, I don't know, different lately. In a good way. Michelle poured her coffee. Like glowing or something. Emilia's stomach tightened. I've just been sleeping better. Mm-hmm. Michelle gave her a knowing look. Or maybe you met someone. What? No. Emilia, come on. I've known you for 2 years. You're definitely seeing someone. I'm not. It's okay. Michelle leaned against the counter. You don't have to tell me, but whoever he is, he's making you happy. I can tell. Emilia forced a smile. Thanks, Michelle. Back at her desk, her hands were shaking. It was starting. The questions. The curiosity. And if Michelle had noticed, other people probably had too. Her phone buzzed. Jade, we need to talk, Emilia. About? Jade, you. Lunch. Now. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in the Pret on 6th Avenue, the same one where everything had started. Jade ordered a salad she wasn't eating, just pushing lettuce around with her fork while she stared at Emilia. Okay, Jade said finally. What's going on? Nothing. Liar, you've been weird for weeks. You're always on your phone. You leave work early. You have that look. What look? The I'm sleeping with someone and it's good look. Emilia's face went hot. Jade, I'm right, aren't I? Jade leaned forward. Who is it? Do I know him? I can't. Emilia. Jade's voice softened. You're my best friend. You can tell me anything. And God, Emilia wanted to tell someone, anyone, about the way Tobias made her feel, about the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the room, about how terrifying and wonderful it all was. But she couldn't. It's complicated, she said finally. Complicated how? Just complicated. Jade studied her for a long moment. Okay, but when you're ready to talk about it, I'm here, no judgment. I know. Emilia's throat felt tight. Thank you. That night, Emilia lay in Tobias's bed, staring at the ceiling while he slept beside her. The city lights filtered through the windows, casting shadows across the room. Her phone was on the nightstand, dark and silent. She thought about Jade, about Michelle, about everyone at work who was starting to notice something was different. Tobias shifted beside her, his arms sliding around her waist, pulling her closer, even in sleep. She closed her eyes. Outside, a siren wailed. The refrigerator hummed in the kitchen. Emilia didn't sleep. The email came on a Thursday morning. From Wesley Grob, subject. Team dinner, Friday 6 p.m. All marketing leadership invited to dinner at Maria. Mr. Madden will be joining us. Attendance is mandatory. Emilia read it 3 times. Dinner with Tobias and the entire marketing team. Her phone buzzed. Tobias. I know. I'm sorry. Wesley organized it before I could stop him. Emilia, it's fine. Tobias, we'll get through it. But she didn't feel fine. Emilia changed 3 times before settling on a navy dress. They met the team in the lobby at 5:30. Wesley, Michelle, Serena, and 3 other team leads. Everyone looked nervous. Tobias arrived last, charcoal suit, no tie. His eyes found Emilia for just a second before he smiled at the group. Thanks for coming, let's head over. The restaurant was 6 blocks away. Emilia hung back, keeping distance between herself and Tobias. But she could feel him, like a magnetic pull she couldn't ignore. Maria was exactly as expensive as Jade had warned. White tablecloths, dim lighting, waiters in vests who moved like dancers. They were seated at a long table near the back, and somehow, of course, Emilia ended up directly across from Tobias. He didn't look at her when she sat down. The waiter brought wine. Appetizers appeared. Wesley launched into a speech about quarterly goals that nobody was really listening to. Emilia picked at her bread, hyper-aware of every movement Tobias made, the way he leaned back in his chair, the way his fingers drummed once against the table, the way he looked at everyone except her. Which is why I think Emilia's campaign concept is exactly what we need, Wesley was saying. Emilia's head snapped up. What? Your authenticity angle, Wesley continued. Mr. Madden, you mentioned wanting to push that further, right? Tobias took a sip of wine. I did. Ms. Turner's approach is smart, personal. It's what sets us apart. His voice was professional, distant, like she was just another employee. It shouldn't have stung, but it did. Thanks, Emilia said quietly. The conversation shifted. People asked Tobias questions about the company, about his vision, about industry trends. He answered them all with the same measured calm, never missing a beat. Emilia watched him and felt something crack inside her chest. This was what it would always be like. In public, they'd be nothing. Strangers across a table, boss and employee. 2 people pretending they didn't know what the other looked like first thing in the morning. Her phone buzzed in her lap. Tobias. Are you okay? She looked up. He was still talking to Serena about something, his expression neutral, but under the table his foot brushed against hers. Emilia. I'm fine. Tobias. Liar. Emilia. Later. Tobias. My place, please. She didn't respond. Dinner dragged on. By the time dessert came, Emilia's jaw hurt from forcing smiles. When Wesley finally called for the check, relief washed over her. This was great, Michelle said, standing. Thanks for organizing, Wesley. Everyone echoed their thanks. Tobias shook hands, said something about seeing them Monday, and headed for the door. He didn't look back. Emilia walked out with Jade, the cool October air hitting her face like a slap. That was intense, Jade said. Mr. Madden barely looked at you all night. Why would he? I don't know. Just seemed weird, like he was avoiding you specifically. Jade shrugged. Probably just in my head. Probably. They said goodbye at the subway station. Jade headed uptown. Emilia stood on the corner, her phone heavy in her purse. She should go home, take a bath, watch something mindless on Netflix, and forget this entire night happened. Instead, she opened her phone. Emilia, I'm coming over. Tobias. Thank God. 20 minutes later, she was standing in his apartment. He opened the door before she could knock, still in his dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His tie abandoned somewhere. Hey, he said. Hey. He pulled her inside and kissed her like he'd been drowning and she was air. His hands were in her hair, her back pressed against the door, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. When they finally broke apart, Emilia's lipstick was smeared and her heart was racing. I'm sorry, Tobias said quietly. About tonight, about pretending. It's fine. It's not. He cupped her face. I hated every second of it. Me too. I wanted to reach across that table and touch you. Wanted to tell everyone that you're mine, that I'm yours. His thumb traced her cheekbone. But I can't. Not yet. I know. Do you? His eyes searched hers. Because I need you to know that this, us, it's real. Even when we have to pretend it's not. Emilia's throat tightened. Tobias. I'm falling for you, he said. And I know that's terrifying and complicated and maybe too much too soon. But it's true. She couldn't breathe. Say something, he whispered. I'm falling for you too. The words hung between them, heavy and true. Tobias kissed her again, slower this time. His hands slid down her arms, lacing their fingers together. Stay tonight, he said against her mouth. Okay. They moved to the couch. Emilia kicked off her heels and curled into his side, her head on his chest. The city hummed beyond the windows. His heartbeat was steady under her ear. What are we going to do? She asked after a while. About work? About everything. Tobias was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Together. Promise? Promise. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that this could work, that they could keep hiding until the right moment came to stop hiding. But sitting there in his arms, listening to the city that never slept, Emilia couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, something they weren't ready for. Outside, a car alarm went off. Tobias's phone buzzed on the coffee table. He didn't reach for it. The text came at 2 in the morning. Emilia was already awake, staring at the ceiling of Tobias's bedroom while he slept beside her. She'd been doing that a lot lately, lying awake, listening to the city, wondering when the other shoe would drop. Her phone lit up on the nightstand. Unknown. I know about you and Madden. Her heart stopped. She sat up slowly, careful not to wake Tobias, and stared at the screen. The message sat there glowing in the dark. No follow-up, no explanation. Just those 6 words. Her hands were shaking. She should wake him, should tell him. But instead, she slid out of bed, grabbed her phone, and walked to the living room. The city stretched out beyond the windows. Still alive even at this hour, she typed back. Emilia, who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Unknown. Someone who works with you, someone who's been watching. Emilia, what do you want? Unknown. Nothing yet. Just thought you should know you're not as careful as you think. The dots disappeared. No more messages came. Emilia stood there in the dark, her pulse hammering in her ears. She wanted to throw the phone across the room, wanted to scream. Instead, she just stood there, frozen. Emilia! She turned. Tobias was in the doorway, his hair messy from sleep, concern written across his face. What's wrong? She handed him the phone without a word. He read the messages, his jaw tightening with each line. When he finished, he looked up at her. When did this come? Just now. Did they say anything else? No. Tobias ran a hand through his hair. Okay, we need to think about this. Someone knows, Tobias. Her voice cracked. Someone at work knows, and they're threatening us. They didn't threaten anything, they're just what? Warning us? Letting us know they have power over us. She wrapped her arms around herself. This is what I was afraid of. Hey! He crossed the room and pulled her against him. We'll figure this out. How? I don't know yet. But we will. He kissed the top of her head. I promise. Emilia wanted to believe him, but standing there in his arms at 2 in the morning, all she could think about was how quickly everything could fall apart. Monday came too fast. Emilia walked into the office with her stomach in knots. Every person felt like a potential threat. Was it Michelle? Serena? Someone from Friday's dinner? Jade rolled her chair over. You look terrible. Didn't sleep well. You never sleep well anymore. What's going on? Nothing, I'm fine. Emilia, I said I'm fine, Jade. Jade rolled back to her desk. Emilia felt guilty immediately, but couldn't explain. Her phone buzzed. Tobias. My office. Now. She found him pacing, his tie already loosened. I've been thinking about this all weekend, he said. We need to get ahead of it. Tell HR, Wesley, before whoever sent that text can use it against us. You want to go public? Just HR, the people who need to know. He stopped pacing. I'll tell them we're together, that it's serious and we want to handle it right. Tobias, I'm not letting some coward hold this over us, and I'm not hiding you anymore. Her throat tightened. What if they fire me? They won't. He knelt in front of her, taking her hands. I won't let that happen. Okay, she said quietly. Let's do it. The meeting was at 3 p.m. Emilia sat in a conference room with Tobias, Wesley, and 2 people from HR, a woman named Kelly and a man named Greg who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Tobias didn't waste time. I asked you all here because Emilia and I are in a relationship, he said. It started about a month ago, it's serious, and we wanted to inform HR before it became an issue. The room went silent. Kelly recovered first. I see, thank you for telling us. Wesley looked like someone had hit him with a brick. You're together? Yes, Tobias said. For a month? Yes. And you didn't think to mention this before? We're mentioning it now. Greg cleared his throat. Mr. Madden, you understand this creates a conflict of interest. Ms. Turner reports to you indirectly through Wesley. I'm aware, which is why we're here, to figure out how to handle it appropriately. Kelly pulled out a laptop. We'll need to restructure the reporting chain. Emilia, you'll need to report to someone outside of Tobias's direct oversight. That's fine, Emilia said. Her voice sounded far away. They talked for another 20 minutes. Paperwork, policies, next steps. Emilia answered questions on autopilot, her mind somewhere else entirely. When it finally ended, Wesley hung back as everyone else left. Emilia, he said, can I talk to you for a second? Tobias looked at her. She nodded. I'll be in my office, he said quietly, then left. Wesley sat down across from her. I need you to be honest with me. Okay. Did he pressure you into this? Because if he did, no. Emilia's voice was firm. God, no, Wesley, it's not like that. Then what is it like? She took a breath. It's real. He's not my boss when we're together. He's just Tobias, and I'm just me, and it works. Wesley studied her for a long moment. You know people are going to talk. I know. They're going to say things, mean things. I know. He nodded slowly. Okay, as long as you know what you're getting into. I do. He stood. For what it's worth, I've never seen him like this, with anyone. So, maybe it's real. It is. After he left, Emilia sat alone in the conference room. Her phone buzzed. Unknown, too late, already told someone. Her blood went cold. She stared at the message, then at the door, then back at the message. It was already happening. The gossip started before lunch. Emilia heard it in the bathroom, 2 women from accounting talking by the sinks. Sleeping with Madden, can you believe it? I heard that's why she got promoted last year. Emilia pushed open a stall door. Both women went silent. I got promoted because I'm good at my job, Emilia said quietly. She washed her hands and left. Back at her desk, her hands were shaking. Jade spun around. Is it true? You and Tobias, Madden? Emilia closed her eyes. Yeah. How long? About a month. A month? Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew this would happen. The gossip. People thinking I slept my way into everything I've worked for. I wouldn't have thought that. Everyone else is. Jade was quiet for a moment. Is it real? Yes. Then screw what everyone else thinks. Emilia wanted to believe that, but the voices from the bathroom kept echoing in her head. Her phone buzzed. Tobias. How are you holding up? Emilia. Everyone's talking. Tobias. I know, come to my office. Emilia. That'll just make it worse. Tobias. I don't care. Come anyway. She found him standing by the window, looking out at the city. When he heard the door close, he turned. Are you okay? No. Her voice cracked. I just heard 2 women in the bathroom say I slept my way into my job. His jaw tightened. Who? It doesn't matter. It's what everyone's thinking. Then everyone's wrong. He crossed the room. You earned every single thing you have here, long before you ever met me. You know that, I know that, but they don't care. Then we make them care. I'll send a company-wide email explaining, no. Emilia shook her head. That'll just make it worse. Make it seem like you're defending me because we're together, not because it's true. Tobias ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. So what do we do? I don't know. She sat down, suddenly exhausted. Maybe this was a mistake. Don't say that. Tobias, look at what's happening. Look at what people are already saying, and we've only been public for 3 hours. It'll get better. Will it? She looked up at him. Or will it always be like this? Me constantly having to prove I belong here, you constantly having to defend me. I don't care what I have to do. I care about you. I care about you too, but I also care about my career, about my reputation. Her throat tightened, and I can feel both of those slipping away. Tobias knelt in front of her, taking her hands. We'll figure this out, together. You keep saying that, because it's true. His eyes searched hers. I'm not giving up on us. Please don't give up either. She wanted to promise she wouldn't. But sitting there in his office, hearing the whispers that would follow her for months, maybe years, she wasn't sure she could. That evening, Emilia went home alone. She'd told Tobias she needed space to think. He'd looked hurt, but didn't argue, just kissed her forehead and told her to call if she needed anything. Her apartment felt too quiet, too small. She stood in the kitchen, staring at nothing, until her phone rang. Her mama. Emilia considered not answering, but she knew her mama would just keep calling. Hey, mama. Baby girl, you sound terrible. What's wrong? Of course she could tell. Mothers always could. It's complicated. Complicated how? Emilia sat down on her couch, suddenly overwhelmed. I've been seeing someone, my boss, and now everyone at work knows and they're saying awful things and I don't know what to do. Silence on the other end. Then, do you love him? What? It's a simple question, Emilia. Do you love him? She thought about Saturday mornings in his apartment, about the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world, about how safe she felt in his arms. Yeah, she said quietly, I think I do. Then that's all that matters. Mama, it's not that simple. It is, baby. People are always going to talk, especially about successful black women who don't fit into their neat little boxes. But you can't let that stop you from living your life. Emilia's eyes burned. What if I lose everything? You won't, because you're strong and smart. And you didn't get where you are by being weak. Her mama's voice softened. But even if you did lose it all, you'd still have yourself, and you'd still have love. And that's more than most people ever get. I'm scared, Mama. I know, baby. But being scared doesn't mean you give up. It means you fight harder. After they hung up, Emilia sat in the dark for a long time. Her phone buzzed. Tobias, I miss you. Emilia, I miss you too. Tobias, can I see you tomorrow? Emilia, yeah. Your place after work? Tobias, I'll be waiting. She set the phone down and closed her eyes. Outside, someone was playing music too loud. A dog barked. The radiator clanged. Emilia thought about her mama's words about love and fear and fighting, and she thought about Tobias, waiting for her tomorrow. She picked up her phone again. Emilia, we're going to be okay, right? 3 dots appeared immediately. Tobias, yes, I promise. Emilia, I'm holding you to that. Tobias, good. I love you, Emilia. She stared at the words. He'd never said it before. Not like that. Not in writing where it was permanent and real and couldn't be taken back. Her hands shook as she typed. Emilia, I love you too. She hit send before she could overthink it. A moment later, her phone rang, his name on the screen. Hi, she answered. Hi. His voice was soft. I needed to hear you say it. I love you, she said again, and it felt like breathing. I love you too. So much. They stayed on the phone for an hour, not saying much, just existing together across the distance. When they finally hung up, Emilia felt lighter. The gossip would continue, the judgment would persist. But sitting there in her quiet apartment, remembering the sound of his voice saying, I love you, she thought maybe her mama was right. Maybe love was enough. The radiator clanged again. Her phone went dark on the coffee table. Outside, the city kept moving. 2 months later, things were different, not easier. Just different. The gossip had faded to a murmur. People still looked at Emilia sometimes, but the whispers had mostly stopped. Or maybe she'd just gotten better at ignoring them. She'd been moved to a different team, reporting to someone outside Tobias's oversight. It was cleaner that way, and it meant she could prove she belonged here regardless of who she was dating. It was a Thursday afternoon when everything shifted again. Emilia was in a conference room, presenting the final campaign strategy to the executive team. Tobias was there, sitting at the far end of the table, his expression neutral. They'd gotten good at this, the professional distance in public, the warmth in private. She clicked through her slides, confident and clear. The room was engaged. Even Tobias nodded a few times, though he never spoke. When she finished, the CFO leaned forward. "This is strong work, Ms. Turner, really strong. Thank you. I have to ask, though." He glanced at Tobias, then back to her. "How much of this was your concept versus collaborative input?" The room went quiet. Emilia felt her face heat up. She knew exactly what he was asking, what he was implying. "All of it," she said evenly. "I developed the entire strategy myself over the past 6 weeks." "But surely Mr. Madden provided some guidance." "He didn't." Her voice was firmer now. "He saw the presentation for the first time today, just like everyone else." Tobias's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. The CFO nodded slowly. "Well, it's excellent work. Congratulations." The meeting ended 10 minutes later. As everyone filed out, Tobias caught her eye. One quick look that said, "I'm sorry." She gave him the smallest nod. Later. That night, she showed up at his apartment without texting first. He opened the door in jeans and a t-shirt, surprise written across his face. "Hey, I didn't know you were coming. I needed to see you." She walked past him into the apartment. "That meeting today was bullshit. I know. He basically asked if you did my work for me, in front of everyone." "I know." Tobias closed the door. "I'm sorry. I should have said something." "No." Emilia turned to face him. "You staying quiet was the right move. If you'd defended me, it would have just proven his point, that I need you to fight my battles. So what do we do?" "Nothing. I keep doing my job, keep proving I'm good at it." She dropped onto the couch. "Even though I'm exhausted from constantly having to prove it." Tobias sat beside her, his hand finding hers. "You shouldn't have to." "But I do. That's the reality." She looked at him. "Do you ever regret it? Going public with us?" "Never. Not even when it makes things harder. Not even then." He squeezed her hand. "Do you?" Emilia was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes. Not because I don't love you, but because I miss when my work spoke for itself. When people saw me and thought, talented instead of Madden's girlfriend. They'll get there. Will they, or will I always be that girl who's sleeping with the boss?" Tobias pulled her against him. "You're not that girl, and you're Emilia Turner. You're brilliant and driven, and you don't need anyone to validate that, least of all them." She wanted to believe him. Some days she did. "I love you," she said quietly. "I love you too." They sat in silence for a while, his arms around her, the city glowing beyond the windows. "Can I tell you something?" Tobias said eventually. "Always." "I've been thinking about stepping back, not leaving the company, just bringing in a president to run day to day while I focus on strategy." "Why?" "Because I've been running this company for 10 years, working 80-hour weeks, missing everything that matters." He touched her face. "And then you walked into my life and made me realize I've been living wrong. You built an empire, and I'm too tired to enjoy it, too busy to spend time with the person I love." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I want a life, Emilia, with you." Her throat tightened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want more. More mornings waking up next to you. More of just us." He paused. "What do you think?" "I think you should do what makes you happy." "You make me happy." "Then do it." She kissed him softly. "With you?" "Yeah, with me." They spent the rest of the night on the couch talking about futures and possibilities and all the things they wanted. It felt good, normal, like maybe they were finally finding their footing. Around midnight, Emilia's phone buzzed. "Unknown, congratulations on the presentation. Shame about the CFO's question, though. People still don't believe you earned it." Her blood went cold. "What?" Tobias noticed her expression. She showed him the screen. "They're still texting you." "Apparently." She deleted the message. "It's fine. It's not fine. That's harassment. There's nothing we can do about it. We don't know who it is. Tobias took the phone from her, staring at the number. We could trace it. And then what? Get them fired? That'll just make things worse. Make it look like we're abusing your power. So we just let them keep doing this? For now, yeah. Emilia took the phone back. They want a reaction. I'm not giving them one. You're stronger than me. I have to be. She stood. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. Stay. His voice was soft. Please. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. They moved to the bedroom. Emilia borrowed one of his t-shirts, brushed her teeth with the spare toothbrush he kept for her, and climbed into bed beside him. He pulled her close, his chin resting on top of her head. We're going to make it through this, he said into the darkness. I know. You don't sound convinced. I'm just tired. Of me? Never of you. She turned to face him. Of everything else. He kissed her forehead. Then rest. I've got you. She closed her eyes, listening to his heartbeat, feeling the warmth of him beside her. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance. The heating system kicked on. Tobias's breathing evened out as he fell asleep. Emilia stayed awake a little longer, thinking about anonymous texts and office politics, and the life they were trying to build together. Her phone sat silent on the nightstand. The company gala was in 3 days. Emilia stood in front of her closet, staring at the dress Tobias had sent over. Deep burgundy, elegant, probably cost more than her monthly rent. There was a note pinned to it. Wear this. I want everyone to see how beautiful you are. She touched the fabric, soft as water under her fingers. This would be their first public appearance together, not sneaking around, not pretending, just them, walking into a room full of colleagues and investors and people who had opinions about their relationship. Her phone buzzed. Tobias. Nervous. Emilia. Terrified. Tobias. Me too. Emilia. You're never nervous. Tobias. I am about this, about getting it right, about making sure everyone knows you're not just my girlfriend. You're Emilia Turner, and you're extraordinary. She smiled despite herself. Emilia. You're pretty good with words for a tech guy. Tobias. I have good inspiration. The night of the gala arrived too fast. Emilia did her makeup 3 times before she got it right. Her hair was pulled back in a low bun, edges perfect, gold hoops catching the light. The dress fit like it was made for her, which, knowing Tobias, it probably was. At 7, there was a knock on her door. Tobias stood in the hallway in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, and for a moment he just stared. Wow, he said finally. Too much. Perfect. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. You're perfect. He kissed her softly, careful not to mess up her lipstick. Ready? He asked. No, but let's go anyway. The gala was at the plaza, because of course it was. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and designer gowns, and the kind of wealth that made Emilia's childhood in Atlanta feel like a different lifetime. They walked in together, his hand at the small of her back. People noticed immediately. Conversations paused. Heads turned. Emilia felt every pair of eyes like a weight on her shoulders. But Tobias just kept walking, confident and steady, like he didn't care what anyone thought. They found their table near the front. Wesley was there with his wife, Michelle from HR. A few investors Emilia had met in meetings. Emilia. Wesley stood, smiling. You look amazing. Thanks, Mr. Madden. Wesley shook Tobias's hand. Good to see you. You too. They sat down. The tension at the table was obvious but polite. People made small talk about the venue, the food, the open bar. Halfway through dinner, Tobias stood. I'll be right back, he said quietly to Emilia. She watched him walk to the stage where the CEO of their biggest partner company was finishing a speech. When the man stepped down, Tobias took the microphone. Emilia's stomach dropped. Good evening, everyone. His voice filled the room. I promise I'll be brief, but there's something I need to say. The ballroom went silent. Most of you know that I started this company 10 years ago with nothing but an idea and too much coffee. Light laughter. I've spent the last decade building something I'm incredibly proud of. But somewhere along the way, I forgot why I was building it. He paused, his eyes finding Emilia across the room. Then I met someone who reminded me. Someone who's brilliant and talented and doesn't take any of my nonsense. Someone who makes me want to be better, not just as a CEO, but as a person. Emilia couldn't breathe. Emilia Turner is one of the most talented people at this company. She earned her place here long before she ever met me, and anyone who questions that is wrong. His voice was firm. She's also the woman I love, and I'm done pretending otherwise. The room erupted in whispers. Tobias set down the microphone and walked back to the table. When he sat down, he took Emilia's hand. "Did you just—" she started. "Yeah." "In front of everyone?" "Yeah." "Tobias, I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm not letting anyone diminish what you've accomplished." He squeezed her hand. "You're amazing, and everyone in this room should know it." Her eyes burned. "You're crazy." "About you, absolutely." The rest of the night passed in a blur. People approached their table, some to congratulate them, some to ask questions, some just to stare. Emilia answered them all with her head high, Tobias beside her the entire time. Around midnight, they slipped out early. The car ride back to his apartment was quiet. Emilia leaned against him, exhausted but relieved. "That was insane," she said. "Worth it, though." "Was it?" "Look at me." She did. "I love you," he said, "and I don't care who knows it. I don't care what they say, all I care about is you. I love you too." "Good." He kissed her forehead. "Because I'm not going anywhere." When they got back to his apartment, Emilia kicked off her heels and collapsed on the couch. Tobias sat beside her, pulling her feet into his lap. "So," he said, "what now?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, we've survived gossip, anonymous texts, public scrutiny. What's next for us?" Emilia thought about it, about the life they were building, about the future she could finally see clearly. "Everything," she said. "We do everything." He smiled. "That's a pretty good plan." "I thought so." They sat in comfortable silence, the city glowing beyond the windows. Emilia's phone buzzed one last time. "Unknown, you won. Congratulations." She showed Tobias. He read it, then took the phone and blocked the number. "Done," he said. "Just like that." "Just like that." He pulled her closer. "No more letting other people live in our heads. From now on, it's just us." "Just us," she repeated. "Yeah." She closed her eyes, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, the warmth of his arms around her. Outside, the city that never slept kept moving. Taxis honked. People laughed on the street below. Somewhere a siren wailed. But inside, everything was quiet. Everything was right. Tobias kissed the top of her head. "Stay tonight. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" "Promise." The heating kicked on. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. Neither of them reached for it. 18 months later, the brownstone in Fort Greene smelled like fresh paint and coffee. Emilia stood in the doorway of what would be their home office, watching the movers carry in the last of the boxes. Sunlight poured through the bay windows, illuminating the hardwood floors they'd spent 3 weekends refinishing themselves. "That's the last of it," one of the movers said. "Thank you." She signed the clipboard and closed the door behind them. The house was quiet. Too quiet after months of chaos, packing, renovating, planning. But it was a good quiet. The kind that felt like possibility. "Emilia!" Tobias's voice came from upstairs. "Come look at this." She climbed the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the empty space. He was standing in the bedroom, holding a frame she hadn't seen in years. "Where did you find that?" she asked. "Bottom of one of your boxes." He turned it toward her. "Is this your graduation?" The photo showed a younger Emilia in cap and gown, her mama beside her beaming with pride. It felt like a lifetime ago, a different person. "Yeah. Spellman, 2018. You look happy." "I was. Terrified, but happy." She took the frame from him, studying her own face. "I had no idea what I was doing. Just knew I wanted to make something of myself." "You did." Tobias wrapped his arms around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Look at everything you've built." She thought about the last year and a half, about leaving Madden Technologies to start her own marketing consultancy, about the fear and exhilaration of building something from scratch, about the clients who'd taken a chance on her because of her work, not because of who she knew, about Tobias stepping back from his CEO role, just like he'd promised, about him finding joy in mentorship and strategy instead of 80-hour weeks, about them finally having time to just be. "We built it," she corrected. "Together." "Yeah." He kissed her temple. "We did." They spent the afternoon unpacking, sorting through boxes labeled in Emilia's neat handwriting and Tobias's chaotic scrawl. Books found their way to shelves, kitchen supplies to cabinets, their lives merging in cardboard and bubble wrap. Around 5, Emilia's phone rang, her mama. "Hey mama, baby girl, how's the new house?" "Chaotic, but good." Emilia sat on the floor surrounded by boxes. "We're swimming in stuff we forgot we owned. That's moving for you. Your daddy and I did the same thing when we bought our first house. Found a waffle maker we'd used exactly once." Her mama laughed. "How's Tobias?" "He's good. Currently trying to assemble a bookshelf with instructions he refuses to read." "Men," her mama tisked. "Listen, I wanted to tell you how proud I am of everything you've accomplished. Your business, the house, standing up for yourself when things got hard." Emilia's throat tightened. "Thanks, mama. And I'm proud of you for choosing love. Real love, the kind that makes you better, not smaller. He does make me better. I know, baby, I can hear it in your voice. You sound happy, really happy." After they hung up, Emilia sat for a moment, phone in hand, thinking about happiness, about how it wasn't one big moment but 1,000 small ones. Morning coffee in bed, laughing over assembly instructions, building a life brick by brick. "You okay?" Tobias appeared in the doorway holding a hammer like a weapon. "Yeah, just thinking. About how far we've come, how different everything is now." He sat beside her on the floor. "Better different?" "Yeah, better different." They ordered Thai food for dinner, eating straight from the containers because they couldn't find the plates. They sat on the floor of their empty living room, legs crossed, laughing about the chaos. "Remember that first dinner?" Tobias said. "At the Italian place in the West Village? You mean when I was terrified and trying to pretend I wasn't? You were so nervous, kept twisting that napkin. You noticed that. I notice everything about you." He set down his container. "I noticed then, and I notice now. Like how you bite your lip when you're concentrating, how you hum when you're cooking, how you always check your edges 3 times before leaving the house." Emilia laughed. "You're creepy." "I'm observant. There's a difference." "Is there, though?" "Absolutely." He leaned over and kissed her. "One is romantic. The other gets you arrested. Later, they lay in bed, their bed in their house, staring at the ceiling. The streetlight outside cast shadows through the window. Somewhere down the block, someone was having a party. Music and laughter drifted through the summer air. "Tobias?" "Yeah?" "Do you ever think about that text? The anonymous one?" "Sometimes." "Why?" "I found out who it was. Last month." He turned to look at her. "What?" "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it didn't matter anymore. It was Serena from sales. She had a thing for you, apparently. Got jealous when we went public." "And you're just telling me this now?" "Like I said, it doesn't matter." Emilia rolled onto her side to face him. She quit 6 months ago, moved to Chicago. And even if she hadn't, she doesn't get space in our life anymore. Nobody does unless we invite them in. Tobias was quiet for a moment. "You're stronger than me." "No. I just learned that holding on to anger is exhausting, and I'd rather spend my energy on this. On us." He pulled her close. "I love you." "I love you too." They fell asleep like that, tangled together in a house that smelled like fresh starts and possibility. 3 months later, Emilia stood in front of 40 people in a conference room in Midtown, presenting her biggest campaign yet. Not for Madden Technologies, for a startup that had found her through word of mouth, hired her because of her reputation, paid her what she was worth. When she finished, the room erupted in applause, The CEO, a woman named Janelle who reminded Emilia of herself 5 years ago, stood up. "That was incredible. Exactly what we needed. Thank you. Seriously, you just saved this launch." Janelle shook her hand. "Whatever you're charging, it's not enough." Walking out of that building, briefcase in hand, Emilia felt something she hadn't felt in years at Madden Technologies. Pride. Pure, uncomplicated pride in her own work. Her phone buzzed. "Tobias." "How'd it go?" Emilia. "Killed it." Tobias. "That's my girl. Dinner tonight to celebrate?" Emilia. "Your place or mine?" Tobias. "Ours. Always ours." She smiled, flagging down a taxi. Emilia. "See you at 7. That night, Tobias cooked pasta again because some traditions were worth keeping. They ate at their dining room table, the one they'd found at an estate sale in Park Slope, the one with the scratch on the side that gave it character. "I got an offer today," Tobias said, twirling pasta on his fork. "For what?" "Teaching position, NYU Business School. They want me to do a semester on entrepreneurship and innovation. Are you going to take it?" "I think so. It sounds interesting, different." He looked at her. "What do you think?" "I think you should do it. You're good at mentoring, and you've been looking for something that feels meaningful. More meaningful than running a billion-dollar company. More meaningful to you." She reached across the table, taking his hand. "You spent 10 years building an empire. Now build a legacy." He smiled. "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You just finally started listening." After dinner, they walked to Prospect Park, hand in hand through streets lined with brownstones and coffee shops and the kind of Brooklyn life they'd built together. The fall air was crisp, leaves crunching under their feet. "Can I ask you something?" Tobias said. "Always." "Are you happy? Really happy?" Emilia stopped walking, turning to face him. "Yeah, I really am. Are you?" "More than I've ever been." He pulled her close. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "We're just getting started." She laughed. "That's terrifying. That's exciting. Both things can be true. They usually are." They stood there in the middle of the sidewalk, wrapped in each other, while joggers passed and dogs barked and Brooklyn hummed around them, and Emilia thought about the girl who'd walked into that Pret A Manger 18 months ago, who'd joked about her boss being too busy for love, who'd had no idea her whole life was about to change. She thought about the woman she'd become, stronger, braver, more herself than ever, and she thought about the man beside her, the one who'd noticed her dimple, who'd made time when everyone said he had none, who'd stood on a stage in front of hundreds of people and declared his love without apology. "Hey," she said softly. "Yeah?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me. All of me. Not just the successful parts or the strong parts, but the messy parts too. The scared parts. The parts I don't always like." Tobias cupped her face. "Those are my favorite parts, because they're real, because they're you." She kissed him there on the sidewalk in Brooklyn, not caring who saw, not worrying about what anyone thought. Because this was her life. Their life. And it was beautiful. The leaves kept falling, the sun kept setting, the world kept turning, and Emilia Turner kept building, kept loving, kept becoming. One imperfect, beautiful day at a time. The end. A final thought. Love doesn't follow agendas. Emilia proved that even the busiest heart has time when it finds something worth stopping for. Tobias learned that success means nothing without someone to share it with. Together, they discovered that the best love stories aren't the ones without obstacles. They're the ones where two people choose each other anyway, every single day. Because in the end, it wasn't chance that brought them together. It was courage. The courage to be seen, to be vulnerable, to risk everything for something real. What about you? Have you ever had to fight for a love that others didn't understand? What would you risk for something real? Thank you so much for watching Emilia and Tobias's story. If their journey touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories about love, courage, and second chances. What did you think? Have you ever had to fight for a relationship that others didn't understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. See you in the next story. Until then, remember, love doesn't follow schedules. It happens when two people choose each other every single day.